Well, well, well. I did not think we'd be talking about this one so soon. I mean, it's not even January yet. And here we are, talking about Kieran Tierney potentially returning to Celtic Football Club. And for the first time ever, I would say, since he left Celtic back in 2019, for the first time ever, I sit down on this chair talking about Kieran Tierney to Celtic rumours with some legitimacy behind it, with some substance behind it, and with a real chance of it actually happening. Welcome to Celtic Transfer Talk. Let's get into this. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. We are coming into a busy festive period, but the content won't stop. We'll be here basically every day, and especially when there's news like this to talk about. Christ, we need to make sure we're here. But we've passed the 47,000 subscriber mark. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it. It means that we are number one in terms of Celtic fan channels on YouTube. We're the most subscribed, and that's all down to you guys. Thank you so much. Kieran Tierney though. We should probably move on to him. So late last night, some rumours started going around on the internet. Some in-the-know accounts started posting potential theories and potential rumours that Kieran Tierney was on his way back to Celtic. At first I thought there'll be nothing in this. It's just the usual. He's back from injury. His contract's expiring at the end of the season. There's no chance Kieran Tierney will be properly linked with Celtic in the transfer window. Fast forward 24 hours, not even 24 hours, fast forward about 12 hours when I woke up this morning, and bang, here were the headlines across the Daily Mail, across Sky Sports, and basically every other mainstream news publication that Celtic are keen on the Kieran Tierney reunion. This was Stephen McGowan's headline via the Daily Mail, that Celtic are keen on the Tierney reunion after injury hit Scotland fullback has been told his Arsenal contract won't be extended. The article goes on to say that Brendan Rodgers wants to secure a stunning return to Celtic for Kieran Tierney. Arsenal have informed the Scottish international that they don't intend to exercise the option of another year in his contract when his deal expires in June. The Gunners were obligated to take up the option by a certain date, which has now passed, which means he will be leaving Arsenal at the end of the season. He will become a free agent. And Celtic reportedly very interested in making it happen. Now I know what comes next. I know the big point that you're waiting to say. We can't afford his wages. He's on 120 grand a week down there. There ain't no way that he's going to be coming back to Celtic. Well, this is where the story gets even more interesting, because Stephen McGowan also reported in his initial exclusive that Kieran Tierney is open to the idea of a substantial pay cut in order to return to his boyhood club. Of course, his salary in excess of 120 grand a week right now, and still got interest overseas. Well, Kieran Tierney apparently interested, Brendan Rodgers more than interested, and really eager to make it happen. And for the first time, as I said, since the day he left the club, it feels like there is something in this story which brings Kieran Tierney closer to a move back home to Celtic than ever before. And it's, you know what, I must admit, it's got me very excited. Just to add more to Stephen McGowan's story, Anthony Joseph of Sky Sports reported this earlier this afternoon, or earlier this morning I should say, that Celtic are considering a move for Tierney next month. They're exploring a pre-contract offer, but will also include a loan offer to try and bring him in for the rest of this season. Arsenal will listen to offers for Tierney in January, with the club not expected to trigger a contract extension. So Anthony Joseph adding more to the story, that not just Celtic looking at signing him on a free contract in the summer, but looking to also bring him in early via a loan deal in the January transfer window. All happening so quickly, and it's making me really excited. If Brendan Rodgers wants Kieran Tierney, I want Kieran Tierney. I'll make it as straightforward and simple as that. And I know what some of you might be thinking right now. Ryan, you know the guy that's come on here every time he's been linked with the club and said, I'm not that bothered because of his injuries, because of his fitness record. But at the same time, if you're talking about this substantial pay cut that he's willing to take, one of the best left backs I've ever seen play altogether, let alone at Celtic, I just think there's part of this that makes it a no-brainer. I get the reservations surrounding his injuries. Trust me, I have been one of the biggest pessimists at times with the links of Kieran Tierney coming back to Celtic one day. And I always said, I think he will come back, but it won't be till properly on in his career. When he's into his 30s, he might end up back at Celtic. But I think to get somebody who's in their prime years, who is to the level of Kieran Tierney, to the quality of Kieran Tierney, for absolutely nothing on a cut wage, I think it's a no-brainer. I don't think you can turn your nose up at that. The conditions have fell into place for Celtic to make this a pretty smart signing. And if you still have reservations over his injuries, I get that. It's completely fair to have those reservations because he hasn't been able to keep himself fit. He only returned last night, actually, for Arsenal, and people thought he went down injured again. It was just cramp. Of course, you're going to suffer with things like cramp when you've been out of football for so long. His first appearance of the season, he has been struggling with injuries ever since leaving Celtic, and even when he was at Celtic. But I think that if you can manage a player like that properly, and I trust Brendan Rodgers to do that, I don't think that you can pass up on that quality for free. For absolutely nothing. And for somebody who potentially could be the next captain of the club, who was a shoo-in to be captain of the club when he was still here, it's Kieran Tierney. And sometimes I think you can overlook the negatives because there's plenty of positives that overshadow it. I look at it like this: if Celtic do their job properly and sign someone else alongside Tierney, say it's maybe Alex Valley next year, they can share the responsibility in that position, and they can manage the minutes of Kieran Tierney. They can manage his body so that he's not constantly injured. Now, I know that there's still a huge risk of him being constantly injured because we've seen his track record, but, if he's fit for the Champions League games, if he's fit for the Derby games, we can get by the rest of the season with Alex Valley basically being a second starting left back. That's the way I like to look at it. Whoever does come in, whether it's Valley or not, is still going to get a lot of minutes. But somebody like Kieran Tierney is the quality of player you need to succeed in Europe. That's it. And can you imagine a back four at Celtic in a Champions League next year with Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Austin Trusty and Kieran Tierney? That would be the best back four Celtic have had in my lifetime. Quite frankly, since the Martin O'Neill era, it would be the best back four by a country mile. And I just don't think we can pass up on that if all the stars align and things come together nicely. It's basically no risk for Celtic. And I know what you might be saying, you'll still be on 50, 60 grand a week. Number one, I'm not paying that. It's not coming out my bank balance. Celtic have got more than enough to pay the boys, say, 50, 60 grand a week, if that's what they were maybe trying to look for. But, if things don't work out, make it a short-term deal. Sign him for a year. Sign him for 2 years. See how it goes. And if it doesn't go well, then, move him on. Or whatever you need to do. But I just think there is so much more positives to this than there is negatives. If he's fit for those Champions League games, the games we need him for the most, we've won a watch. We've won more than a watch. We've won the fucking jackpot. So it's a really complex one. I think there's a lot of ups and downs to look at. But hey, listen, I'm now that the moment has arrived where it seems more realistic than ever, I'm not going to lie to you. I love the thought of Kieran Tierney being back in a Celtic shirt. You've also got to remember, this is a lad who would tick off both the Scottish trained player and club trained player quota at Celtic Football Club. What would you rather? Stephen Welsh taking up a spot or Kieran Tierney? Be honest to yourself. Would you rather Anthony Ralston taking up a spot or Kieran Tierney taking up a spot? Doesn't matter if Welsh and Ralston are fit all season. They don't play anyway. So even if Tierney wasn't fit, nothing's changed. We've just got a much better player in that quota. I think that people are getting a little bit carried away with exaggerating the negatives of this one. Players come and go with their fitness. Here, listen, what if Tierney does genuinely, legitimately turn a corner with his fitness? What happens if he stays injury-free for the next couple of years and we pass up on the opportunity and we never get it again? We will shoot ourselves in the foot. The upside is far greater than the downside. If he comes in and he's injured, things can change, he can move on. If he goes away, does really well somewhere else, that's it. We've blew it. We're not going to see Kieran Tierney in a Celtic shirt for at least another 5 years. This is a huge moment in time for this to potentially happen, and I don't think Celtic should pass up on it lightly. Hopefully him and Brendan Rodgers are having discussions, and I'm very excited to see where it goes. It's going to be a very interesting one to watch develop. Of course, Greg Taylor's contract is up at the end of the season. There is no signs of a renewal anytime soon. It looks almost certain he will move on. Kieran Tierney coming in for Greg Taylor. It's an upgrade. And I don't think you can deny that. It's a substantial upgrade. There's a reason that one still gets picked for Scotland every single time he can and he's fit, and the other doesn't. And it's because Kieran Tierney's just an unbelievable footballer. It's no disrespect to Greg Taylor, but there's levels between the two of them. It would be a significant upgrade, and I do, and I can't stress this enough because I've been one of them for years. I do understand the pessimism surrounding the guy's fitness record and his injury record, but for free, we're paying no money apart from the wage. I want it. Let's do it. Right, that is it for today. A huge one about Kieran Tierney potentially coming back. This will update, I think, rapidly over the next couple of weeks heading into that January transfer window, so stay with me on the channel and I will try and keep you up to date. It's already changed rapidly in the space of the last 12 hours from it first breaking late last night to the updates that we've had early this afternoon, so who knows how quickly this will all change, but I'll be here to report on it. And God, I've not even got started on that VAR stuff from the weekend. We'll need to make a separate video on that. But until then, please take care of yourself, like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.